Welcome everyone. My name is Stéphanie and I'm the Marketing Director for Délifrance UK and Ireland. I'm really pleased to be here today to delve into the bread category. And I will be sharing the key findings of our latest insight report, Breaking Bread. The report covers current trends, consumer behavior, and opportunities within the bread category. So I will take you through key insights that can help you capitalize on emerging trends, creating innovating offerings, and positioning your business for success in a dynamic bakery market. So let's get started. So why did we focus on bread? Well, firstly, the market is big. It's currently worth £7.8 billion and is forecasted to grow by more than £1 billion by 2026. So the opportunity is huge. A love staple globally, it's a diverse and versatile product that has a lot of potential. And obviously, we are a major supplier of bakery goods, especially bread, to our key partner customer. So how did we do that? Well, our methodology was quite simple. We surveyed 1,000 UK adults who regularly eat bread. We drew on our internal market estimates and insight, external market data, and also the expertise and view of food trend expert Harris and Hayes. So to set the scene, let's have a look at when consumers are eating bread the most. And it will come to no surprise that breakfast takes the lead. So looking at breakfast, a substantial 63% of consumers regularly include bread in their breakfast, while 25% occasionally indulge and leaving only 12% in the never category. Now, looking at lunch, well, it's quite similar. A large 62% of consumers make bread a regular part of their lunch. And this is probably due to the fact that bread is so versatile. They can have bread as sandwiches, they can have them as soup accompaniments, so quite a lot of opportunities there. And then 28% occasionally enjoy bread with their midday meals. And only 10% say never to bread during lunch. Now looking at dinner, well, dinner is actually quite different. 37% regularly include bread in the evening meal, and a slightly larger 38% occasionally opt for bread at dinner time. And 25% so never. So that's a little bit bigger than the other occasion. So there is certainly room to explore and innovate with bread option at the dinner table. There is quite a lot of occasion to actually grow consumer use of bread at dinner. And these statistics are not just about mere consumption pattern. They actually show opportunities willing to be harnessed. The breakfast table, for the lunch break and the dinner setting, consumer welcome bread across these crucial day parts. And there is more as well. It's not just those 3 day parts. So now we know when consumers are actually eating bread, but where are they doing this? Well, 25% of at-home consumers are increasing their bread intake. This is quite a significant shift in consumer behavior within the home environment, presenting an opportunity to cater for this growing demand. And 23% of out-of-home consumers are also amplifying their bread consumption. So again, growth in there as well. And as I said before, there is other occasions, so snacking is booming too. Beyond the main meals, snacking has emerged as a big opportunity for businesses that sell and supply bread-based products. 42% of consumers snack on bread regularly and 33% occasionally. So again, it's a really big part of bread consumption. The snackification of food is definitely a trend, firmly entrenched in the routine between breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for some consumers, it's replacing some of these traditional mealtime occasions as well. So we are really witnessing a new food landscape where many food and drink products are being reinvented, redeveloped to meet the demand of convenient, satisfying snack. And obviously, this is driven by different things, but the cost of living crisis seems to be really steering a surge in demand for affordable snack as well. Consumers, perhaps looking to save money by opting to stay at home, are increasingly seeking comfort and satisfaction through snack, especially in the evening. So now, what influence does price play in the out-of-home for the out-of-home consumer who are purchasing bread? Well, price value has come as a lead consideration wherever bread is bought. It's actually mentioned regularly and quite often at the top by consumer. Almost 2/3 say that price or deals is the biggest reason for making their choice, which is actually quite a major shift from the research we did in 2019, where only 34% say price is the biggest reason. So obviously we are evolving a different time, 4 years ago it was slightly different than now. So clearly costs are becoming more of a priority as people are feeling the squeeze. Despite this, bread is actually doing better than many categories thanks to consumers seeing it as a good value and a reliable and affordable staple. So it's not all gloom and gloom, it's actually got some positive to it as well. But despite the economic challenges, quality remains a non-negotiable factor for consumer when purchasing bread and bread-based product. So what does quality mean? Well, it does mean different things for different consumer. But if you think about products, think about premium loaves, uncrafted style bread products, sourdoughs, bread with inclusion. So all these kind of high-end products. And more than half of at-home consumer base their choice of bread on quality of product, and 45% for out-of-home consumer. So it's not just about your loaf of bread, it's actually the entire bread occasion. And our research indicates that those who frequent independent bakery, for example, exhibit a distinct inclination towards prioritizing quality over price and convenience. So it's important to really strike a balance to offer consumer perceived quality that it's also at a perceived value. And it's not just about price and quality. You've got other factors really influencing consumer choices. Consumers are increasingly aligning their choice with eco-conscious value. Our data show that sustainability is not merely a trend, it's a fundamental expectation driving purchase decision. It's actually becoming more and more important to consumers. They have more time to focus on things which are important to them, especially before COVID. So really sustainability is coming back as a big trend as well. And sustainability is not just a buzzword. It should now be seen as a catalyst for innovation and positive growth. The bakery market has seen the introduction of, for example, eco-friendly packaging, responsibly sourced ingredient, and also shift towards reduced carbon footprint as well. And another word we're hearing a lot more at the moment, so it's regenerative farming, which is really increased significantly in the last few years. And this is something at Délifrance that we are working as a business, something which is quite close to our heart here. And also we're working on it with our parent company, Vivesia, and our partners. So those really championing those eco-friendly practices and communicating this clearly, and that's really important, it's clear communication, will win in long term, not only in meeting consumer expectation, but also building lasting loyalties in a market driven by conscious choices. Now, if we look at health, so health is quite interesting because health concern, both positive but also negative, have a big impact on bread consumption. For some people, we think that actually bread is a very healthy food to eat. For others, not as much. But almost a third of consumers who are eating more bread at home and out of home are doing this for health reasons. Meanwhile, 40% of consumers are eating less bread at home or out of home. Listed health are also a reason. So it's an interesting split because health is actually a very key driver for the bread consumption, either positive or negative. 15% of those who have increased their at-home consumption of bread have done so for health reasons. They are more likely to buy bread like sourdough, especially brown, wholemeal, seeded, and rice sourdough. And 24% of those who have increased their out-of-home consumption of bread are also doing it for health reasons. And they are more likely to buy things like wraps, tortillas, ciabatta, so different kind of bread and sandwiches. So what can we do about those who are opting for eating less bread for health reasons? Well, we can look at bread with added benefits because they offer a big opportunity to attract those health-conscious consumers. Also, things like source of fiber, high fiber have been really popular health claims for some time now, and we see that developing. And brands actually continue to expand ranges with high fiber loaf, featuring added seed, grains, and inclusion, for example, like seeds and grain and pulses are also enabling some bakers to make claims as well, high fiber loaf, and things like that. So really, really, really good claim. And there is also a niche market which is targeting consumer seeking low carbs option as well. And there is also things around digestive benefits as well. So the digestive benefits of long fermented bread, such as sourdough, mean that these can also tap in that healthier eating market as well. Bakery as a whole is actually well placed to meet demands of specialist diet, such as meat reduction and plant-based. And many shops and out-of-home businesses are now offering a lot of innovative meat-free sandwiches and wraps as well. So there is a lot of opportunity in the health sector as well. So I've talked a little bit about sourdough. So it's obviously still a big growing trend. So let's focus on it a little bit more. So sourdough is really has become a firm fixture of the bread offering for consumer, with greater awareness of health and, as I said before, the benefit of fermentation. Sourdough is really the go-to bread of choice for many people, and we can see consumer actually mentioning sourdough a lot more and searching online for sourdough and sourdough recipes. So it also taps into the consumer appreciation for authenticity and quality. And also many consider it as a treat to enjoy. So from the research, we know that 16% of consumers actually say that they like to have a really thickly sliced sourdough slice for weekend brunches and lazy breakfast. So it's really part of consumer repertoire, with 32% actively looking for sourdough and 29% looking for it with regard to sandwiches. Specifically, it actually should be a really strong consideration when developing food offers for consumers. So it's not just the loaf of bread people actually buy in a bakery or the in-store bakery in supermarket. People are actually looking for it a lot more as well as a part of their sandwich offer. So now, outside sourdough, there are other things outside, British bread as well. So consumers are really increasingly seeking diverse and authentic culinary experiences. Bread of the World offer a passport to global gastronomy for curious consumers, allowing individuals to explore the rich and varied bread tradition from different cultures and different countries. So really, by including breads from outside the UK, there is a chance to bring further intrigue and innovation to menus and food offering. So making sure that consumers are surprised with the different type of bread and really can learn about different culture that way. 40% of consumers buy breads of the world to eat at home, and 56% of consumers actually look for breads of the world when buying sandwiches out of home. So again, it's tapping in both areas, in-home and out-of-home consumption. And this really demonstrates a clear desire across the board for this level of diversity. And Italian bread actually led the interest in our research, with 33% of consumers looking for this when buying sandwiches, which again is a great news for us at Délifrance, because we have a strong range of Italian bread sold under our Pan Italy brand, and they are authentically Italian because they're made in our bakery in Milan, and this is really important for consumers. Really, the authenticity, the use, the different format, the use of olive oil. So all this actually is driving more consumption of Italian bread in the UK market. And then I mentioned sandwiches before. So if we couldn't really do a bread presentation without mentioning sandwich carriers, because it's really impossible to understand the role of sandwiches in our market. It's huge, and 64% of the bread eaten at home at breakfast time is actually are bought sandwiches. And this figure rises to 78% when it comes to lunchtime for bread consumption. So sandwiches is really a key part of the bread of the bread market. But sandwiches buyer cannot be taken for granted. As the buyer of sourdough, consumer will be kept engaged by offering a varied and evolving range of sandwich carriers. We can't just sell the same thing over and over again. So our research actually revealed plenty of love for the classics. So you can see 33% of consumers said that their favorite sandwich format was a baguette, 27% soft roll or a bap, and 26% mentioned crusty rolls and sliced bloomer as their favorites. So it's really, as you can see from that graph there. But there is also a lot of interest, as I mentioned before, for Italian product. And also for wraps. So, and when consumer mention Italian product, they mention panini, ciabatta, focaccia. So again, quite a good knowledge of the different bread of the world. So this is really taking me to the end of my presentation. So just in conclusion, our report reinforced for us how varied and vibrant the UK bread market is, and that there are still a lot of opportunities for us to take, and quite a few challenges, obviously. We can't just be about opportunities, but it's really an exciting time for the category. So what we should all keep in mind is really that there are evolving trends in terms of cuisine, of consumption, and also sustainability, which is becoming a lot more prevalent. And also, we need to make sure we keep health in mind as well when developing product, without forgetting quality, especially at the right price. And obviously, at Délifrance, we're committed to driving this forward with our different ranges. So thank you very much for listening to me. The report that we've developed actually has got a lot more information in as well. It's got quite a few pages, so it's just a really quick overview of what we've researched. And if you would like to download it, it's free to download on our Délifrance website. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stéphanie, for joining us here at Bakery Live. Why did you want to talk about this topic with us today?
Well, I mean, we love bread at Délifrance. I mean, we do produce quite a lot. So for us, it's really important to fully understand about consumer needs and all the category we actually produce. So we're dedicated to produce quality bread as part of our heritage. Délifrance started with selling baguettes almost 30 odd years ago. So it's quite key for me also as a marketing director to understand what consumer wants, so we can work together with our customer to actually give them some advice and making sure they use our expertise as well, and also to understand what consumers are looking for. Is it all about the classic? Are they actually looking at something different? And we saw that from the research, actually, artisan inspired bread, sourdough, and Italian bread are really part of the repertoire. So it's important for us to understand all this, and we can work with our partners and develop the right product for their consumer as well. So and for us, it's quite key to be a really strong partner. So by knowing the products, by knowing everything, we can create really interesting products. And it's all about the passion and the love we all have for bread.
Absolutely, you can see from your presentation and some of the insights you shared that bread continues to be a real staple. What made you want to conduct a report into the UK bread market in particular?
Well, the UK bread market is quite interesting because it's a big market, and as we said, a big part of it is around out of home and sandwiches, for example. But what's interesting to see is that consumer, because of this health scares and everything, it would be interesting to see if actually that was changing consumer mind. But actually, consumers' love for bread is still there, and it's showing no sign of slowing. So we really think that this £9 billion market can actually go even further, and it was really to look into that, and also looking at where this growth is coming from. So looking at which solution we can look at, some innovation, and really embracing all those trends as well. So and as you saw from the report, the UK bread market is quite varied. It's vibrant. and it's giving us loads of opportunity and also challenges to grow further. But it's really good for all of the people who are operating in this market, seeing that it's actually a market which got quite a lot of life still. It's a growing market, even if it's a very stable product. So and it's interesting to see really our consumption is different, at home, in home as well. So we can really have a look at all this, and again looking at consumer thought around environmental issues, and also what the economics is doing as well. With we saw price, for example, being a key factor, which was not 5 years ago. So it's really interesting to see all the different dynamics.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. A very exciting market. And you sort of alluded to it in your presentation when you said, in spite of the cost of living crisis, people are still continuing to enjoy and eat bread, which is fantastic. Have you seen any growth in the consumption of artisanal breads?
Yes, I mean, this is definitely an area which is growing quite a lot. And from more and more artisanal bakery opening as well, really having a very single-minded offering as well. So people are some bakeries are either specializing in sourdough, for example, some other with seeded, high fiber, and all this kind of bread, so healthy going. But we also see it from slightly more industrial area as well. And when you look at the in-store bakery as well, so it's not just artisan bakers, also from broader consumer needs as well, where there is a growing interest in sourdough, and this is really continuing to grow. I mean, it's booming basically and both from a retailer and also a food service point of view as well. So I talked about consumer looking for a loaf, sourdough loaf, but also we've seen that consumer also looking for example, sourdough sandwiches. So there's definitely something around that, and we're seeing a lot more uncrafted bread as well coming into the market. So using a lot of inclusion, for example. So it could be with health benefits, or seeded, or the other trend, which we didn't really mention too much in the report, but indulgence as well. So a lot of things around, adding cheese, olives. So all this is actually quite growing at the moment.
There is so much going on.
Yes.
To summarize that. And how important would you say having a story behind bakery products is to consumers? Is this an opportunity for bakery manufacturers to tap into? Yeah,
definitely. It's definitely an interesting point, because consumers, they're quite knowledgeable, and they're craving information as well. So I mentioned communication being very important in sustainability, but it's not just about sustainability, it's about everything. So if you can claim provenance of your ingredient, if you can claim maybe where the bread is made, if you can claim whatever you can claim, actually consumer will be interested. Or if it's high fiber, I think there is always something to tell, and storytelling is becoming really, really interesting. You just need to look at bread bags, for example, or back of packs as well. So, and I would, my advice to everyone will be to actually try to really get your story straight, and also make sure it rings correctly as well, that it's not lies as well. It needs to be true, it needs to ring true as well, because, the last thing consumer will appreciate is being lied to. So it's all about the right story for the right products.
And how important would you say a story behind these baked goods is to consumers? Would you see it as an opportunity that bakery manufacturers can tap into, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about sourdough before, and I think, there is a lot about communication. I talked about sustainability as well, and how to communicate with consumers. So definitely, I mean, if any story is a good story, I guess in any good story, and true story is a good story. So I would really encourage bakers, manufacturers to look at ingredient provenance, for example. So that's very interesting. Where the product is made, again, very, very interesting. And any claims they can make, if it's high fiber, if it's full of seeds, or if you actually give the consumer a benefit. So I would say that storytelling is really, really key if we can if people can do it. And it's about how to present the story. So if you look at back of bag, adding something quite nice for consumer to relate to, bread bags, whatever. So I think consumers are curious. They like to know about what they're eating, and if it's actually a bit romantic at the same time, it's even better, to be honest with you. So anything that we can, we work quite a bit at Délifrance about on these things. So looking at really where our ingredients come from, and if there is any name ingredients, so that's really interesting for consumer as well, or the way it's done. If in the case of a sourdough, is it a long fermentation, how many hours? So anything that can be communicated to consumer is really interesting. And I would encourage anyone who can actually do it to actually put a story together, as long as it's obviously true and reflect the quality of the bread.
Absolutely. So with all this said, what would your main takeaways be, Stephanie, for any manufacturers who are watching this and would like to capitalize on these growth opportunities?
Well, we saw that consumers still have a love and a passion for bread because they're buying more and more. The market is growing. So I think what I would say it's important to craft unique products, make sure, be different. But also there's still an opportunity in the classic as well. So I think as long as the bread is good quality, there is a space for, slightly more premium and also more classic products. Quality, as we say, it's really, really key. So, making sure that the ingredients are right, that the bread look good, that the quality is really there as well. And also, we'll go back to sustainability as well. If, I think we will be asked more and more as an industry to look at our sustainability credential. So making sure that, we can communicate this with consumer in the right way. So, in your outlets, in your marketing activity, on your website. And it's about looking at, as I said before, provenance of ingredient, carbon footprint, etc., etc. And I think consumers are going to demand this more of us, and also working together as an industry, all the way from farmer millers to people who are actually making the products. And then one more thing. So didn't mention too much about indulgence. This is really key as well, all the ingredients used and making sure that, the products are indulgent. And then on the other side, it's health. Health is actually quite an interesting part because as I explained, people are eating bread for health reason, and people are eating, are stopping eating bread for health reason as well. So it's about really explaining the health benefits of the bread. So, again, high fibers, seeded, things like that, sourcing strategy, clean label as well. I didn't have time to talk about clean labels, but what's in the bread, the shortest the ingredient listed, the better as well for consumer as well. So it's really looking at around this. And as you mentioned, making sure that if you got an authentic story, communicate with your consumer. So a lot of things that we can do as an industry to really, really grow our bread market.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you and to learn a little bit more about such a vibrant market, as you called it, here at Bakery Live. So thank you again for taking the time.
And thank you for having me.